Welcome, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm your host, and this is 2 Cents Wanted. Today's video is going to be, it wasn't intended to be a long one, but I think 10 minutes kind of ends up being longer than I wanted it to be. But today's list is, as you've seen, my top 10 favorite Bankai reveals. Now, before we dive in, I want to give my personal criteria for this list. I'm going to be determining the order of the reveals based on their cool factor, uniqueness, and what they immediately do before and or after the activation. The last one seems like it doesn't really have anything to do with the reveal itself, but in my opinion, if you release a Bankai and you take forever to use it, then the cool factor wears off, and vice versa. If you didn't do anything cool to set up the Bankai, then it kind of just becomes blah. I will be taking from the entirety of the Bleach manga, but not including the novels, so I'm still iffy on their canonicity, so that's why I don't like to use them. Also, if you have not caught up, then I'm sorry. Just click off the video now because there will be spoilers about certain Zanpakuto. With that, here's my 2 cents. Starting off our list at number 10, we have Soiphone's Jakuho Raikoben, and the reason she makes number 10 over a lot of the others is because it's a missile. You can't get any better than a missile. I mean, seriously, it goes from a 2-hit kill, gauntlet, piercing needle, awesome Zanpakuto just in its Shikai, and then its Bankai is just a big FU missile. You can't beat that. And then the fact that she had to tie herself down to a building with a steel tether just shows you the force of the Bankai. And then going into that third criteria, you have her shoot them, it like unlocks itself and boom, shoots the second Espada. He disappears. Although we know he doesn't actually disappear, but it was still cool upon the reveal, and that was our first time seeing it. And that's another thing, if I didn't mention, these reveals are about the first time they're revealed, not some other later time. That could maybe be a list for another day. Moving right to number 9, we have Kaname Tosen's Suzumushi, Tsuishiki, and Enma Korogi. Now, the reason this one makes number 9 is because it's the first Bankai that made me feel fear. The other ones maybe inspired awe or a sense of unease, but this was the first one that I saw and it felt unbeatable. It really threw me for a loop. And up to this point, we had only seen 3 Bankai, which was Renji, Byakuya's, and Mayuri's. Mayuri's was creepy, Byakuya's was regal and awesome, and we'll be talking about that one. Renji's is a non-factor. But at the time, that was the first time you see a Bankai and I felt it was unbeatable. Unfortunately, it ran into Kenpachi, and it seems that anything that runs into Kenpachi ends up messed up somehow. The other thing is that what got it into number 9 above Jakuho Raikoben was the fact that Kaname has a cool speech beforehand, and the moment he activates it, he cuts Kenpachi. And the fact that the activation itself is awesome. It's just the ring on his Zanpakuto expands, and expands into this large dark black dome, and all the senses are cut off. It's a fantastic Bankai, and it would strike fear into me if someone ever used it against me. Now, number 8 is probably going to surprise a lot of people because it's Ichigo Kurosaki's false Tensa Zangetsu. Now, some people might have a wording with the word false, but what I'm going to use for now. The moment itself is perfect. It's the epitome of the arc, unless you're counting the Sosuke Aizen twist. The reveal itself is just a tad underwhelming because of the size, but it still has all the coolness that comes with a drippy black fit and a sword, a black sword. Ichigo's activation, before it, is even awesome. The fact that it fires this Getsuga Tensho that's basically FU, and it explodes with all this Ryatsu in the air, and then when it dissipates, boom, black fitted Ichigo, and then the dust and spirit energy coalesces around his Bankai, maybe hinting at some level of Quincy in there, who knows. But it's a fantastic reveal, chef kiss, perfect for the Soul Society arc. Now at number 7, we have our first 1000-Year Blood War Bankai reveal, and that's Kisuke Uehara's Kannonbiraki Benihime Aratame. Now, the reason this one is at number 7, maybe not higher or even lower on the list, is because first, Kisuke is one of the most secretive, if not the most secretive character in Bleach. I think it's fair to say he is the most secretive character in Bleach. But the fact that I personally never thought we'd see it. Like, I thought Kubo would do something where we would see Kisuke say Bankai, and then off screen, dude's done. We never get to actually see it because he wants to keep it, hidden from us and the characters within the lore. What also got higher than some of the others was the simple fact that its reveal is just amazing. The doll itself possibly hinting at a relationship with a royal guard member, but the doll itself looks awesome. The mannequin prosthetic like arms is awesome. The draping black hair, the blood motif, and then on top of all that, the fact that it heals Kisuke's eyes with this almost Frankenstein's monster-esque style. It's fantastic. The activation, what happens before and right after, just it cannot be any lower on this list. Now, number 6 might also be a controversial pick, and I am sorry, but it's Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto's Zanka no Tachi. Now, Zanka no Tachi is awesome. That is indisputable. The fact that we got to see the head captain's Bankai is amazing, because I thought we'd see it in the Fate Karakura Town arc, but we didn't, so that's sad. But that just made the anticipation for it way higher. Now, what I can really only say what slides it back to 6 out of the top 5, and that's that nothing immediately happens when Zanka no Tachi is activated. We just kind of see the blade kind of turn ashen and beat up, and there's like the string of fire, and it's noted on by other characters that it looks different, and then we kind of see what it used to look like. We don't really see it do anything until a couple pages later. I think it's just a few panels. I'm not sure, but it's not necessarily immediate, and I think that was the disappointing part. But overall, Zanka no Tachi's reveal is awesome, just being itself. And here we are, the top 5. Now, the top 5, I definitely, there's a little bit of bias in here, but this is my favorite list. So, starting off with number 5, we have Shunsui's Katen, Kyõkotsu, Karamatsu, Shinju. Now, the reason is because this was the second most anticipated Bankai in the series, at least in my opinion, from what I saw, right behind Yamamoto's. I mean, most of us never thought Kenpachi was going to get a Bankai, so it doesn't even matter. The release itself, the level of spectacle, has only ever been, I would say, met by one, maybe 2 other Bankai, and that's just astounding for a standard. Like, the creeping shadow tree and the actual appearance of the Zanpakuto spirit is just something that we do not get with the other ones. Maybe with the exception of like Senobonzakura with the blades coming out of the ground. But the creeping shadow tree and the spirit appearing, just chef's kiss perfect. There's really nothing else I can say about this. What happens before or after doesn't even really matter, because just the activation itself is just pure ominousness. Is that a word? Moving on to number 4, and this one is definitely personal bias, but we're going with Gin Ichimaru's Kameshini no Yari. Now, the reason I picked this one, pure spectacle. He cuts half of Fate Karakura Town in half and leveled it just by activating it. The way it's shown in the manga with the kind of deformed panel, and how it's very well executed in the anime, especially with the Japanese voice actor for Gin, just Kameshini no Yari in this like snake-like evil tone. It's perfect, and I think that the fact that Ichigo barely caught it, even though Gin swung it and it cut the entire town in half before it even got to him, the fact that Ichigo couldn't see it until it was right up on his face just makes the activation amazing. Like, if the activation is an attack, kind of like how Tensa Zangetsu was originally, and like the only time it ever did it, but that's amazing. That automatically gives you more points for activation coolness. Moving into number 3, we have Byakuya Kuchiki's Senobonzakura Kageyoshi. Now, the sheer weight of this one is amazing. This is the first Bankai with true spectacle and beauty. It's done so superbly in the manga and in the anime. and just watching everything in front of it just get obliterated was amazing. Especially in the manga, where it's a panel of Renji sitting there and the Keto's broken, it's frozen in time, and then the next one he's massacred. It's amazing. The anime does it fantastic as well. Just watching Renji and everything behind him just get obliterated just by this thing almost activating. It's an amazing moment, and clearly it's the reason it's number 3 on this list. Now, going into number 2, this is again my list. I'm going with the new Zangetsu Ichigo Kurosaki. Everything about this Bankai is perfect. The design, it's a sheathed, it's a sword, it's a dual wielding sword that has a sheath for a blade, and underneath that blade is another blade. It's so, Kubo went amazing with the reveal. Ichigo, what he says right before it happens, you know, what is this despair you speak of? I've got him every time and I've kicked it in the teeth. Bankai. Perfect setup against the final villain of the series. There really is no reveal I think is better than this one, except for one. That will be number 1. But the reason this one didn't make number 1 is for what Yuha does to it right after. Now, personally, I don't have a problem with what happened in that moment, but again, going based on the criteria that I picked for this, it can't be number 1. And but if I had to choose, it probably is still to this day my favorite Bankai design by a mile, and it still gets points just for that. Now finally, number 1, RYUEMON HOZUKIMARU Igaku Madarame. Now this one might seem a bit weird because it's kind of at the very start of the ANKA arc, and it's not a major character or anything like that, but I think this is the quintessential, the perfect Bankai reveal. We didn't know Ikaku had one. He didn't want to release it, but he does, and the setup for it is perfect. He gets beat up, activates a Shikai gets blown up, and then I guess I have to use it. And then the excitement in which he says Bankai, it's just fantastic, and there isn't anything better, and that's why it's number 1 on this list. Thank you for your time. Like and subscribe. Hit that, drop your 2 cents in the piggy bank down below, and have a good night. Bye.